All right, time being 6:03 p.m. on the 11th of January, 2026. I call this meeting, the Capital Planning Committee, to order. Let's begin.
14th of January.
14th, sorry, you're right. Let's begin with a roll call vote. Heath, aye.
Wayne, aye.
Dave, aye.
Chris, aye.
All right. Just a second. Okay. Announcements. This meeting is being recorded. Anyone intending to make an audio or video recording of this meeting should notify the chair at this time. Okay, this committee still has a vacancy for a Kingston resident. If you or anyone else you know may be interested, please reach out to Kingston's Finance Committee. You can reach them by email at fincom@kingstonma.gov. That's fincom@kingstonma.gov. Next announcement, I'd like to welcome to the town of Kingston our new town administrator, Scott Lambiase. Is that correct? Lambiase. Okay.
Scott.
Well, Scott.
And to the Capital Planning Committee as well. This is his first meeting, having just started over a week ago. So before Kingston, you were town manager in Abington and building commissioner in Duxbury, right?
Right.
Excellent. Should all come in very handy, all that experience. All right, it's usually during the first meeting of the year that I mentioned that we should consider this point or soon thereafter, if we might need to do request a site visit or a field trip. Usually when we start, we have a book with all the requests for the year in it, but we're kind of going along as we go this year. We should get caught up soon though. But just keep that in mind because we won't want to let that delay too long. So any of the projects we're hearing about something that we want to go as a group to go check out, let's get that scheduled.
You're not going to try to throw me off the roof again, are you?
The roof of the fire station?
I mean, like when I was chasing you around up there, up and down ladders, the fire station. Yeah, the picture's that pretty good though. All right. The wastewater superintendent and operator David Walsh has informed me that his department is not seeking capital improvements this year, though the sewer commission has asked him to inform us that they are preparing to expand sewer service to include South Street and the Millgate neighborhood. I don't think that's actually this year. I mean, unless they're doing a separate warrant article, that might be next year. So there, it's done. If you read the agenda for tonight's meeting and are here or listening to the recording later on, the appointment with the Kingston Water Department has been rescheduled for January 28th with this committee. Does anyone else have any announcements?
No.
Right. Hearing none.
Here we are in another year.
Okay, capital financial updates. We do not have a free cash number yet, but Scott, how many weeks or months are you saying it
We're
might?
looking about 3 weeks out, 4 weeks tops, but they're working hard down in the accounting department to get that for us.
All right.
Do we have?
No, I could not navigate. I would not, after my first week, I'm not quick.
Excuse me, in the water department budgets their capital based on what they have in their version of free cash, which I think there's different names for it, but I think it's water surplus revenue. They don't have that number yet. And some of the estimates on the other capital requests from other departments, I don't even think are solid yet. I mean, unless they're finishing up today. So we're going to take it as it comes. For now, we're just going to use the old book. Because much of this year's plan is in it, until we can get updates. So Scott and I were talking before the meeting. Do we want to go towards more, at least maybe for the project sheets, do we want to use more digital? So the towns have to go through so much paper and binders, and maybe just do like the annual memo and spreadsheets on paper. You guys don't bring it in anyway.
Yes, I do.
Yes, okay. You read it on.
And I would look at it right now online, but Verizon has no cell service. So I can't.
I screenshot the stuff you sent us so I can look at it.
All right, there you
Um,
go. But the town would like to maybe cut back on some of the paper.
go
usage.
paperless.
Yeah, that's saying paperless.
You know, it's again, and it wouldn't have to be this year. It's not an effort to go 100% paperless. It is just an effort. Reduce the amount of paper, especially if it's, duplicate, so, but if anybody does actually prefer to have the paper in front of them, we'll be happy to accommodate.
See, I find that, when I'm presenting a warrant article for full year's plan, I bring this to the podium with me in case there's a question about a project. But I could probably also just print out the individual items that are most likely to raise questions. I don't have a strong opinion either way. I just like to have maybe the financial documents on both digitally and print. By digital, I mean like an actual spreadsheet so I can play with it and analyze it.
I'm just trying to think. I am more of a visual person, and the book is very helpful to me. I'm wondering if I could cut back though, and I don't need this full.
The other thing they could do is they could just print, instead of every year getting a whole new book, you just toss everything we in terms of the project sheets, toss or file what we've already dealt with, and they'll just give us the updated ones for the year, like the new stuff.
Yeah,
Because you think about it, if you've got a 5-year plan, they put something in for year 5, they are printing that sheet in every subsequent sheet 5 times.
yeah. Definitely the summary
In print.
in print.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of this can be saved. Yeah, a lot of it could probably be saved.
All right. So you want a decision from us now or?
No.
Okay.
All right, we can.
But it's something I want you to think about and think about. Like I said, you and I probably have to have more conversations on how we want to do this next year going forward. And if there's any ways that we can reduce the amount of paper that we're producing and using, then that's gonna be, just sort of a message I'll have with all the boards and committees that I meet with.
All right. The superintendent or interim superintendent of streets, streets and parks had submitted a request for a vehicle. He wanted to replace the current superintendent's SUV, which, as I understand, is rusted out on the undercarriage because they drive through the snowstorms to monitor the contractors and all the work being done. He wants to get a truck, I think, with a front and back row and a bed. So if they need to pick up anything around town, he can do it instead of having to call somebody else out to do it. But he's pulling it back this year. I don't know entirely if that's the right decision or not, but we'll look into it. He was scheduled to appear in our next meeting, but we may still want him to appear at some point because there's a lot of changes coming in their schedule. It looks like the Vector truck, we can postpone replacing that, which is great because it's really expensive. It would have been debt. I don't think we should have been replacing it this year under the prior schedule, but that would have been another lease payment that I just don't think we can afford. He's also looking at a trailer, excuse me, and possibly a skid steer vehicle, which I think we talked about before, would possibly do some of the work that the trackless machine does. Take some of the wear and tear off some of the bigger loaders or small stuff.
Can't use the trailer that was bought for the we just bought.
So they already bought the trailer.
Well, we approved it. For the trackless, can't use that.
I don't think that wasn't part of the article.
It wasn't.
No.
Alright.
In fact, I don't know how much it costs. It might not even rise the level of capital unless you're trying to buy 2 things at once.
What about the trailer from the dump transfer station? They have a trailer. So we had to get another one
You
because
put
of
a vehicle on?
I don't know, why didn't we put a vehicle on? Was
What's that?
the issue? Was
Oh, that might be the sewer department's trailer.
sewer department.
It doesn't fit all the
Yeah,
streets and park stuff.
Maybe we're talking about the same trailer and they haven't purchased it yet. Alright, either way.
All right, well, unless anybody has anything else, on to the appointments.
On
Yep.
on lease payments, what do we have coming up? Do we have anything coming up the lease?
This year, I think we make the final on either engine 1. Yeah, it's engine 1. I think it's around 155, 157,000. You got it there? No, it's not on that page. Next year we have. Hello.
Hi, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was looking for Ken Bragg.
No, not in this meeting. Maybe room 101 downstairs.
The historical.
Yeah, I don't know if they're in 101, but they often meet
Oh,
there.
they sent me to.
It's right over by the entry, the main entry.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry to bother you.
No problem.
worries.
Next year is the tower ladder truck, 206,000. And a highway department truck and a solid waste department truck. I think it's a tractor we replaced years ago. Might have been before you guys were here. I can't quite remember.
About 400 grand in payments.
So between this year and next year, the following year, we should be probably paying out less than we take in meals tax revenue. I'd like to keep that for a year or two if we can. Because then we're going to have the ambulances. Actually, I think one of the ambulances will be now for refurb, but we'll have to replace 1 and 2 by right around the end of the decade after they start hitting the 8 to 10 year mark. So I don't think they can be refurbished anymore. And yeah, then the Vector truck will happen right around that time. So we'll start seeing more leases again.
They give it a new VIN number, don't they? They don't change the frame.
I don't recall. Remember we talked about it? I can't remember what the answer to that question was. Whole process starts with them taking what they call the box
Right.
off the back, which is where the patient rides, and assessing the chassis. Then I think they look at the engine or something, and if they can certify it, they remount. If they can't, they send it back to you. All right, then. Now, with the water department being canceled, facilities, you're up. You're welcome, Rob.
Giddy up.
Waldo.
Giddy up.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank
I
you.
have some paperwork for everybody. They're in no particular order.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And you said if there's an extra set, I'll
There is a,
make sure our member who's remote can get a copy if he wants. Chris, do you want the physical copy delivered to you?
well, I have it.
All right, thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. Okay.
So once again, they're in no particular order and we can discuss all as, gentlemen see fit.
Go ahead. When you're ready.
So the first one up, because it's on the top, is the highway barn and the station 1 at the fire department. The floors over there, especially at the highway barn, but at fire station 1, 2, need to be sealed, crack sealed, and salt protected. The highway barn, the salt, it's a pretty caustic environment over there. And that I don't think I'm not sure when it was done, if it was ever done over there. I think it might have been done at station 1, but many, many moons ago. But station 1 specifically has underfloor heating. And so we're trying to protect that as well. So anything that leaches through there and gets into that, into that underlayment in that heating system could be serious trouble.
Radiant heat.
Yeah. So, so that's what this one is. Basically, a vendor will come in, they'll do what they can around the drains and the cracks, and then they'll put a sealant on it.
And anywhere it's chipping up, they level it off. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll level out. I mean, there's a crack that's with the kind of a dip at fire station 1, catches the guy's toes. So it needs to be done. I mean, obviously everything here needs to be done. We'll have to prioritize it if need be, but that's what this one's about. So it's something that we should get a couple years out of, especially the salt sealing. Highway barn, we might not get as much because they do, like I said, they drop a lot of salt over there. So maybe that's something we do every 2 years. But once again, I'm not sure when it was done, if ever, over there.
If it's a 2-year process, we'll have to that'll have to be under the operating budget.
And that's fine. I don't know what that looks like
Yeah.
yet. I don't know what the timeline for wear and tear is.
Because there's
Maybe
2 different departments. One drives in the snow and ice and
Right.
the salt, and the other one distributes it.
and dry sand
yeah.
as well. So they're bringing it in and taking it out. But because I don't have an exact, like maybe we get 5, maybe we get 10. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's ever been done over there to begin with, and we've gotten this much time out of it. So it's something we have to, like, as facilities, we'll have to keep our eye on. And if it looks like that, then we can move it into more of an operating budget.
So what brought this about this year? Because everything here, we'll probably go through it as we go one by one, but everything here is new to the.
Not quite. So
Okay.
the flooring here at the townhouse has been on for a couple of
Oh,
years.
yeah.
And what brought this on is, I've been over there doing repairs on doors and stuff like that. And then talking to Sean, who has a new outlook on new set of eyes, even though he's been there for a while. And we were looking at things that, I fixed some of the concrete walkways were getting beat up. And I had a mason come down and fix the walkways here. We had a stairway over at the Adams building.
Yep.
They all got fixed. And while we were doing that and talking to Mark, the fire chief, obviously, these problems just kind of they come to a head. So, now that the trucks are bought over there and we've got some of the bigger projects in town, we start to concentrate, these things come to light. It never really ends. They just surface.
Mhm.
And now this has become something that's surfaced. I was looking at the drain specifically at the highway barn, and the caustic salt and stuff is really starting to eat away at around the drain face. And then you start looking at the rest of the floor and you go, oh yeah,
Isn't the drain titanium?
the drain is with the concrete around. It's
Yeah.
not.
No, of course not.
You know what I mean? So what
I
happens?
was gonna say, I think I heard someone say it's the most expensive drain in the town or something.
Yeah,
like
it could
that.
be, but the concrete around it isn't, and that's
Yeah.
what's really deteriorating. So, as the water and everything starts to pool towards that, it sits there longer and starts to swell and all
Mhm.
kinds of weird stuff.
So as if the damage from the salt wasn't bad enough, then the water gets in and continues it.
Right.
In a different way.
And obviously facilities, none of our stuff just magically heals. So if we don't, the stuff we don't take care of today, we'll still have to take care of at some point tomorrow. But
And what's the age of Fire Station 1?
Fire Station 1 is 26 years old.
And how about the barn?
The barn, I don't know, was built around the same time this building is, and I apologize for not having that, but it's definitely over 10 years. It's definitely over 10 years.
So we're doing that. This is a $25,000 project.
Correct.
I see one estimate for,
Yeah, so I added 5%, I added $5,000. I don't have, I actually, as a matter of fact, he's showing up tomorrow. I have another guy coming down to look at it.
Mhm.
But I extrapolated what the fire station would look like, and then I put that towards the highway barn, and they should be close. I mean, that $5,000, obviously we'll get returned if we don't use it, but that should cover any extra that the highway barn needs.
So is this just one of the buildings here, the 10,000?
Yes, that's the fire station 1.
And this is a combined project, so it gets us all three, 125.
It gets us, say that again, I'm sorry.
So with the 25,000, we get the three buildings.
You'll get 2 buildings. You'll get fire station 1 and the highway barn.
Okay, I thought you mentioned station 2 as well.
No. Station 2 is
Okay.
fine right now.
Okay.
I can so explain for the audience at home.
Sure.
If anyone ever watches this thing. So what exactly are we doing this? So like it defines it as repair spalding concrete. Like what does spalding mean?
So concrete is obviously made up of, it's made up of cement and an aggregate. And as you put caustic material on there, it breaks down the bonds between the aggregate and the Portland cement.
Destroys the line, basically, right?
Right. I mean, well, I can do a bunch of different things, but that's usually it goes after lime, or the lime leaches out, or a few different. And what happens is it powders, it cracks, and it becomes the tensile strength of it starts to fail over time. So you're putting tons of trucks on there and stuff like that, so you get cracking. Especially at the fire station, where I think that ladder truck is some serious tonnage.
Yeah.
So as you start to deteriorate the structure of the concrete, it starts to fail on the surface. But that fair on the surface does reflect underneath things like ambient radiant heat and drains and things like that start to feel the pressure.
But what if you process that? They're gonna.
So what they'll do is they'll go in with a masonry product. They'll neutralize the chemicals that are in the concrete right now. They'll go in with the masonry product and seal the cracks and level what they need to, and then they coat it with something that protects the concrete. It's not a permanent sealant. It's not something you have to scrape off or anything like that. But it is a coating that will repel salt and chemicals for a certain period of time until that gets eaten away. If we were to do something like
But if you put epoxy, it would
Yeah,
tear
you-
off. It's just
so
it's
you-
just like a penetrating
you could get away with epoxy.
sealant.
Yeah, it's a penetrating sealer. And epoxy, if done right, will work there, but it is 4 or 5 times more expensive. I mean, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
to do it right. If it's done wrong, it's a serious problem because then it fails, and then you have to go back in and take that off, and it's harder to take off that epoxy than it is to just rip the floor out at some point and or skin it and then put a new concrete. So I didn't really look at the epoxy option for those 2 reasons. This is usually what most people do in high traffic areas. It stays on as long as, depending on the traffic, and then we can readjust. I don't have an idea on how long that could be. It could be 5 years, it could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, it could be, 15 years. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just reading the small print on the contract. Do they give any type of warranty of any type?
I don't know. I haven't explored that yet. That will kind of come into play. So this is going to need obviously free bids and that whole thing, and
Yeah.
those will get explored. I don't, it takes, obviously it takes a lot of time, and I'm not trying to say that I'm not up for that, but if this isn't something we're moving forward with, but when that time comes, those will all be things that will get addressed. Chemical compounds, I'll get references and we'll look at different vendors.
Yep.
Although this gentleman right here has done a pretty good job at the town. He's the guy who laid the concrete for the Veterans Memorial and he's helping on some sidewalk stuff. So I went to him first to get a pretty fair price and I know his work. So
What will be the depth of the highway, I mean, of the masonry product? It doesn't have to be so.
no,
deep,
it's, you know, millimeters or under. I think it's absorbent. So it goes in
And it will.
and it hardens and it does what it does. They use something, it's not similar, but it's the same kind of thought process where they spray the undercarriages of the trucks at the highway department and my trucks too. But this that's goopy. So it never really hardens up, I don't
The
think.
wool wax.
Yeah, and it just washes off over time. But it's the same kind of idea. You put it on there, it absorbs, it'll neutralize for a certain period of time, and then you have to reapply. But it doesn't hurt the concrete, and it's nothing that you have to scrape off if the failure happens.
But you must have to prepare and etch the concrete.
Correct. They'll neutralize whatever's there right now, crack seal it, neutralize it, and then they put this. So it's a process, you know. And we probably, to be perfectly honest with you, we'd probably do it in the spring or summer when the trucks aren't there anymore. So it wouldn't happen in the snow season.
Yeah.
The trucks would be outside,
Right.
you know, and then there's a curing time, I'm sure. You can't drive on it for a little bit, but it's kind of like sealing your driveway. Actually, I should have probably mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah.
When you put a new driveway in, a year later, you put the asphalt sealant on it. It's that kind of product. So, you know, every couple of years, if your driveway holds up, you know, I've done mine twice. I've been in the house for 20 years. Some people do it every couple of years if your car's leaking or you have problems with it. So,
What happens to the contractor tells fire department you gotta leave your trucks out for like 3 days? They don't like that fire
no, but logistically we could seal one side maybe and then seal the other side.
They like those undercover when they're not being used.
Yeah. Well, I had some garage door issues that I was working on for too, so they didn't have to leave their trucks out, but they were definitely jockeying trucks around. So those guys are great over there. I mean, this is for them, and I think they'd be on board with whatever logistics we needed to do to get this done.
Any other questions about the concrete floor work?
No.
No, I mean,
Rob?
the only other thing I had, what approximate square footage of the project?
Until I don't know. I can get
Yeah.
that for you.
I mean, I'm envisioning the facilities, but
Yeah,
for the people.
I don't know. I can, once again, I can have that. I was looking at it as a whole project. For me, I looked at it where doesn't really matter what the square footage is if this is the price of it, but I can get that so we can look at what the cost is per square foot once we get closer to it.
Yeah.
If that, like we could break it down, say it's, $5 a square foot or $105 a square foot. I can
Yeah.
understand that
All right,
thought process.
cool.
Roof over at Fire Station 1, 26-year-old roof. The snowstorms of a couple of years ago, and I wasn't here, but I am sure that they had people up there shoveling and snow blowing stuff off it, and just the wear and tear in general of being 26 years old has led to that not failing, but it is leaking pretty robustly.
They brought a snowblower up there?
I don't know. I'm just saying, when in 20.
They did that at the
Yeah,
intermediate school. That's what we had to
I'm
go.
not, right, so I'm not saying they have. In 2015, I was someplace where we were doing that pretty regularly.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario is you had guys up there trying to lighten the load by hitting it with shovels.
Mhm.
So that adds to, you get these little micro cuts. And if the fire department's listening, I am not telling anyone you had a snow blower up there. But the wear and tear of the last couple of heavy snowstorms, you had to do what you had to do to keep the building from falling down. So I'm just kind of prefacing why we're looking at this roof. So last year, we spent about 10 to fix, patch and repair what we could find. Every time you walk in there, though, you see a new stain on the roof, kind of leaks onto the trucks. Is it horrible? Right now, no. Is it going to get any better? No. Roofs tend to do one or two things. They either hold out until it's kind of like hanging onto a cliff. You're holding on, and then you're falling. So right now it's leaking. What does that mean for the future? I don't know. A replacement is probably the best way to go.
Have they looked at this as to what? You're saying a full replacement.
I'm saying a full replacement of the flat roof, not of the asphalt shingle roof.
So when the school was looked at, what they said was they could put a material, which I believe was used on this roof, to prevent us from having to do a full replacement. So it's a poly-based material. I think it goes on white, which looks like this is a white roof. I don't think
Yeah.
it's fading. think that dark colors are probably pooling water or something, or some other damage. I don't know if the damage beyond the point that another coating or two.
Yeah,
But it's a big savings.
Yeah, I mean, and we can look into that. I don't know much about poly roof coatings. The only thing I know about coatings is the same thing that I can say about floor coatings. When done correctly, fantastic.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of horror stories about coatings going awry.
So when the
But I can look into
yeah,
it.
when we were talking about school, fire chief had said, I don't know about that product. We had the same product on the Pembroke Street station. And it didn't work out right.
Right.
I said, that's a concern because the Mass School Building Authority gives us the money and said, that's what we want you to use because that's what we think is going to work. It said, yeah, but it also may have been that the contractor didn't do the proper prep. So I don't know if that's, and they can't just put another coating over it or.
And that's a big piece of the puzzle too. I mean, the prep work and the adhesion is the success or failure of whatever you're putting down. So, and you know, I'm not casting aspersions on any contracts, but I will say that sometimes all the prep work in the world can't fix something that's too far gone. It's a couple of years ago they came up with this deck over stuff that people were painting their decks with, and then that worked out horribly for most people because even if you bleach it and you do all that stuff, there's just moisture in the wood that's pushing up. And I don't. Once again, I'm using an analogy on something I don't know much about. But what I do know is you have to be careful with coatings. They have to, you know, and they're expensive to do right. So if someone comes in and they're saying, "Oh, I can do it for half the price," as a facilities guy, my radar goes up, not because I love to spend money, but I know that 3 years from now, I'll be revisiting this with um, twice as much effort and probably 3 times as much money.
Mhm.
So, but I can look into that. I mean, we're only talking, you know, there's no money to be parceled out right now, and I can try to get you.
Yeah, because one of the things we've considered was that for anything having to do with that facility, financially, it might make more sense, even though we pay interest to include it on a bond if we did the public safety complex over there at the police station. It would take pressure off what we doing in the regular capital planning.
Right.
To say, okay, the roof, the generator replacement, all that stuff, just put it on the bond, you do one big project. But that's been pushed back.
Yeah,
And
that's
how long can we wait on these things? I don't know.
Yeah, and I was talking to the chief about that too, because I think that was the original plan. They were pushing it and pushing it, which to go back to your original question, why are we finding this now is things change over time. And I think the idea is even if they were to do the bond in the next 2 years, you're still looking at.
Actually, I think I was wrong about that. I think that was already, I think it was under the fire department.
So he put it in for this year too.
Yeah,
So he's
So-
gonna be looking.
it wasn't under facilities, but it's a facilities project, even though it's for the fire department.
Yeah, so he and I have spoken. I've given him this copy as well. I think the idea was that if both of us presented, you know, wherever it lands, facilities will obviously have a big hand in managing it, but I don't have a problem if it goes under fire department, I'll work with the chief to make sure it gets done correctly. I think that might, you know, that's obviously he takes care of those buildings pretty well. All right, so any questions on that one that I can answer for you guys? Nope. All right, so rebuilding, 100-year-old building. It was painted pre my time, I want to say 8 years ago. It was stained and painted, whatever they put on there. I'm once again not casting aspersions on anyone's job, but mold got underneath what I put on there, which is all that black stuff that you're seeing on the shingles.
I call that New England character.
It is New England character. It's a lot of, and if you look at the second picture, it's a lot of New England character.
That the,
But let's not stain that side. I walked around it. You can see there's a different color of the shingles.
isn't that the west side of the building? that we're looking at?
But it's
Oh,
all,
that's the side that it would be the west and the south, that if there was no trees casting shade, it burns, doesn't get that gray patina, that Cape Cod gray that lasts,
yeah.
30 years. I had mine done, a few years ago. The west side is burning, the east side is getting that perfect gray.
Yeah, so this is, so I cut down a lot of trees over there, so it's gonna get a lot more sun in general. If you walk around the building, it's pretty consistent. Now, this is probably the worst side or one of the worst sides.
This is the worst side.
Yeah, but it could use to be bleached and painted, and the trim could
It's like a solid stain, or you use actual?
Semi-solid. You want to be able to see the shingles through them,
Yeah.
but so I painted the bathrooms at the beach this year. Used Iorossi, did a great job. Whatever they put on there is like magic. It brightened up that wood, something fantastic. And in my process of looking at that, I said, well, the rebuilding is a prime candidate for that same kind of treatment. I think once again, it's a 100-year-old building. Um, it's although not on the historical registry, thank God, it can tend to be fragile in some of its components. We don't want water getting behind any of this stuff, especially things like the column and the trim and all that. So I would like to, once again, have it stained, have the trim painted, the doors painted.
They're gonna spray it?
They're going to spray
They're
it.
gonna back brush it?
They're going to. I'd have to talk to them, but I mean, Iorossi does a great job. He's been
Okay,
doing
yep.
stuff at the town for a long time. He's the guy that paints all the monuments and bleaches everything out for free.
They pick the color yet?
It's going to be the same. It'll be that same color. We're not changing colors. Everything will be the same. It'll just lighten it all up. So all that black
Yeah.
that you see will be gone. It'll look more like its original self. We're not talking about reinventing the wheel here. If we do a semi-transparent stain to get it to this color, if not, it'll just be whatever process they used to preserve and stain it.
Or I thought you said semi-solid, that would have a color.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I might have said that. Semi-transparent.
We have lease purchase.
Yeah,
highlighted here.
so that's my fault. When I went through all this, I noticed that I don't know where to put my mea culpa. I don't know where to put that in this operating revenue. And it was highlighted, and when I copied and pasted from 1 to 1, you're gonna see a lot of lease purchase. So we can move that to where.
Probably free cash and other.
Okay,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I walked around this place today and my oldest son played ball down there. He's gonna be 41. The building looks better now than it did when he was playing
good,
Little
thank
League.
you. I'll take that as a compliment to
Wow.
facilities. My guys work hard down there, and Sue does a great job keeping that building up and running too. I mean, I love working with them down there. They're great.
All the recreation people love that building.
Yeah, it's a great building. I mean, we got air conditioning in there this year. There's a whole bunch of stuff we've been able to do now. We replaced the copper roof caps and stuff. We cut down all those trees. So we got to keep the roof free of all the pine needles and stuff.
Now, the front double doors, which adds character to the building, are they used for anything anymore?
Not anymore. So what's behind them right now is the stage area, and they made a storage area back there.
Okay.
They're still functional. As a matter of fact, there was some stuff running out of that door that they were using, and we hardwired a bunch of plugs on top there, so we don't have anything running through that anymore. But they're still usable. They'll be painted and all that. And if the time comes where they want to revamp the inside of that, anything they did inside can come out. That stage will be exactly the same. But,
And it looks like the electrical boxes are on the outside, right? And they have the armresses off and on, so that.
yeah, so
Somebody play with that and shut them off if they want, if they got down there, or is it
No.
locked it?
no, it's locked. That's a good question. I don't know if they're locked, but why that's there right now is we up that service to accommodate. So that the electricity in that building, which I think was part of Sue's plan last year, we got some cap plan money for that. We wanted to put air conditioning in there, and so I put 2 3-ton portables downstairs. But the electricity in the building wasn't adequate for their computers and what they had running in there. So we updated that whole system. We updated panels, everything. So now going into the future, it will have enough juice to whatever you want to add to it.
You'd be able to.
Yeah, I think it's a 400 amp service or something. I have to look at my notes, but all that came in new. I mean, it still goes to some older boxes, but the box downstairs is all new, all rewired. It can accommodate not only the 3 tons running with everything else they have running, but anything you want to add to it in the future. So it's got some life to it. We've added probably another 100 years to that building as far as electric goes.
How bad is the condition of the trim currently?
That's a kind of a tricky question, right? Is it falling off the building bad? No. Do we want to take care of it before we get there? Yes. Could it use a scrape and a paint and some TLC? Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I always, if it gets to this point in time, this is where you want to take care of it. You don't necessarily, if you can't, you can't. It's like your house, right? There's a lot of things I need to do at my house. I can't afford to do them. We put them off, but it never gets better over time.
Right.
This is as good as it's going to get.
I mean, I didn't notice a lot of flaking. I saw some cracks in the paint.
If you go and look at the columns upstairs, and I can walk you, if you ever want to take a look at it, we can walk up there. The colonnade on the back side of that building, those columns are looking rough. Some of the trim back there is looking rough. But my concern mostly is the shingles. I mean, the shingles are the biggest piece
Before
of
they
that
come
puzzle.
up to curl up too much.
And some of them have started to buckle already.
When I was walking around there, I noticed that going down the hill, there's like a pothole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can look into that too.
Yeah.
Some of that,
fine.
there's a couple of, it's tough to do that stuff in the wintertime because we plow
Right.
over it. My guys are doing the parking lots with Sean's guys. There's also there's a septic pump down there and some holding tanks where it pumps that septic up to the street, which kind of sometimes it causes potholes to, you know what I mean, things settle.
Right.
And we just have to be careful over that. And I also, there's some big machinery that was been back and forth through there, but we can look at that in spring.
I was just thinking in baseball season, people must still walk down that hill. You must.
Yeah, they
can
do.
walk, you don't want to, shoot the ball out.
Yep, we'll take care of that in the spring.
I asked about the trim because I see they have a Sherwin-Williams primer listed for the scraping that occurs. Excuse me, I've been using it on my own house, just an anecdote, a field bonding primer. So you have to take the loose stuff off.
Yep.
But even if it's rapidly coming loose, when you put that stuff on, I had on the gable of my house, the electrical service comes in. And I'm not that familiar with what the hazards are for bumping into that when
You
you're
don't
painting.
want to-
Mhm.
And I had linesman's gloves on because I happened to own a pair and long handled paintbrushes, so the wood was between the wires kind of thing. And I said, I'm doing this once, looked into it, found the peel bonding primer.
Yeah.
Covered that with Sherwin-Williams Emerald duration I've seen. I don't know why they're selecting that one, but it was a premium paint, but I haven't had to.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a crack in that paint since then.
yeah, that triple bonding primer. I mean, there's all different kinds, like Mad Dog's one of them, and some of them stay tacky until you put paint on it.
So, yeah, some of them are fairly durable.
Yeah, they
Like
hang around.
if you leave them there for a year, it's not like you come back and say, I've got to prime it again before I put the finish on.
Yeah, whatever they put in that, I wish they would put in paint.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's in the primer, not the paint, but I just painted the back of my house with some of that too, because I ran into the same thing.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
Yep.
But it's good stuff. And once again, my job is to make sure these buildings are safe and their life is extended as long as possible, but to spend only what we need to spend. So, all right. So any questions on this piece of the puzzle?
I think we're set. Chris, you set? Okay.
So the next one, this is for facilities, but highway would also use it as well. So once again, they just picked up a trackless machine over at the highway. Would be a small tool carrier. We do the sidewalks around the town buildings. Sean and Paul before him were having trouble finding vendors. My guys help him plow. So when the time comes, they get the call and they're all plowing with the guys. But then, highway and facilities has to clear out all the driveway and the walkways around all town buildings. And so after plowing snow, I mean, this year, knock on wood, it hasn't been horrible. But after plowing snow for that long, you want to get that stuff out as quickly as possible. So this tool carrier would get in and out where the trackless can't. It would also let us do stuff in the summertime. We're using a 40-year-old John Deere tractor that we store at the old firehouse right now to grade and rake the beach with the York rake. This would be able to take some of that. We'd be able to kind of maybe not mothball that tractor, but use it less. It's something we could put on a trailer and get into the playgrounds to move mulch around where some of the big stuff they have to do by hand. Some of the big stuff can't get in there because it's fenced in. The gates don't allow it. So not only will this allow us to clear driveways and walkways for snow, but it's something we can use at the beach, in the parks, and wherever Sean, also we could try to use it for mat stuff down on some of the trails, with some of the attachments. So that's what the thought process is. The one I'm looking at, the pictures that I have, I don't have a picture of it, would be a tracked version. It's the same amount, but it would have tracks on it. So you get into some of the spongier areas out in the woods.
Let's see, didn't we just buy a trackless?
No, but this,
Money from other.
yeah, I know. And
Separate account.
so this one is only 35.8 inches wide. So it's not the same animal. And
I thought you were gonna say it was only $35,000.
No,
That's
no.
a lot cheaper. Than
Well, it is only 35,
It is only 35.
but it's only 35.8 inches wide. So it's basically, if you picture a ride-on lawnmower that you don't sit on, you stand on, and then it has a bunch of attachments that you buy as time goes by or needed. once again, this winter, if this next winter turns out to be a bust, knock on wood, and the next one does this become same kind of priority as some of the other projects? You know, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest, no. It's a, you know, I would like to have it. It would make the guys easier, it would make our job quicker, it would help everybody involved. But if I had to put this on the priority list, it's definitely under the roof and the rebuilding and some of the other stuff. So,
So tell me again, where would you be using this?
so the primarily it'd be a wintertime thing, but we could also use it to grade the wood chips in the playgrounds. We would use it to get in and out of trails that we can't get larger machines on that don't have tracks on them because they sink. Matt's, you know, come to me a few times and asked us, can we get a lawnmower or can we get a brush cutter in there? And they sink because they're wheeled. We could use this at the beach right now to York. So a couple times a year, we York rake that beach, get the debris above the rack line, obviously, but it grades it, gets the, you know, it's basically you drag a rake or you drag a bunch of chain across it. You get the seaweed, you get the rocks, you level it off. It would be able to do all that in a smaller package and whatever else we needed it to do that could fit that the big trackless can't get to. So, you know, it depends on what we get for attachments for it. I don't foresee us buying them all. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. You find a need and then you go, oh, I can hook that up there and we can get
Yeah,
it done.
you said the playgrounds with parking lots?
Playgrounds, building parking lot, building walkways and sidewalks, beach, I was thinking, trails,
Which trails would we actually be plowing?
not
Oh,
plowing.
but snow blowing, sorry.
So not even snow blowing. It would be getting in there and cleaning
Just
them out.
more grading work?
Yeah, grading, cleaning. So what happens with Matt's trails, and I'm not as familiar with his trails, obviously, as he is. But I think down by the Adena, there's one specifically.
Yeah.
You get out there and it's spongy.
Mhm.
And so what happens is it overgrows the trails. You have to get out there and you have to hand
And they
cut
put down stone dust and that's probably, you just walking on it eventually.
Yeah, it just
So-
goes away. And so to be able to grade that, there's attachments. I'm not saying that we buy now, but there's brush cutter attachments. You can, you know, you can lop on the front of that. And once to keep the trees from kind of encroaching, you cut them down earlier. Obviously, you keep the trailhead wider. And then you don't have to go in and hand do it, you know, because right now they're going in with loppers and bagging it and pulling it out as needed. Or they wait until the fall. Like my guys wait until the fall. It gets a little solid because it freezes and you go in there and you try to do what you can. But once again, I'm not saying that this is not needed, but if I had to put it in the hierarchy of things that the town needs, this is a want to have. Will, you know, it'd make life easier for the guys. It'd make things quicker. And I'm not saying that because I think, you know, my job is to make their lives easier. It's to get the job done. But no one wants to go out there and do a 12-hour, you know, lopping job or 3 days worth of it done in a couple hours and then move on to something else. So that's what this does. It's efficiency. It's, you know, something we don't have a tool for right now.
For this price, what attachments comes with this?
So that's good questions. Right now, it would be the grading shovel on the front. It would be the snow blower and it would be a brush attachment. So those are the three, and it would be the tool carrier. So we have a York rake. So the tracked one, which I think I have all three actually in there. The tracked one actually has a hook on the back. We'd be able to hook up either a piece of fence or the York rake that we currently have. I'd have to talk to Al over at the garage. Maybe we could either buy or fabricate if it doesn't fit quite right. And then we drag the York rake through it too. So
And where are we storing it?
it would be stored in the facility shed behind the reed. It's
How
not
are we moving
huge.
it?
It will fit on a standard size landscape trailer. It's probably, like I said, it's only 35 inches wide by,
We have one of those?
Do we have?
yeah, we have everything. Yes. So my guys, we mow and move stuff around.
The brush operation is cutting, is that what you said it was?
The brush
Like
operation.
ground cutting?
Yeah, it would be, it's not, so the trackless that Sean bought has an arm on it
Yeah,
that can do
foam
that.
flail, yeah.
This is not, it doesn't have that. But we'd be able to, year over year, tackle these problems before they become bigger problems. And we have the way to, you know, we lug around the lawnmowers and all that stuff. Like I said, it's the size and it's probably, I think it's under 200 pounds or it's about 200 pounds. It's the size and shape of something that will fit on a landscape trailer, which we already have and we already move our stuff around. But right now, one of my guys has to go down to the old firehouse, get into this giant 40-year-old John Deere. And when I say it's 40 years old, it looks 40 years old. The only time we use it is at the beach and, drive it on a main road. Whereas we can get down, we might be able to do it more often if we have something that we can just throw on a landscape trail and drag around with us.
So 2-year warranty on the advertisement,
Yeah,
500 hours.
500 hours.
yeah.
What are you anticipating for hours on this thing?
Well, that would depend obviously on what we look for snow, but probably maybe 30 hours a year total. I mean, you figure you get in and out, to cut down a trail, we're not talking about miles and miles of acreage here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something like I said, that takes someone by hand to do in 12 hours, you could probably do in an hour or under. You just, you put the power thing on, you put the brush cutter on it and you run through it and it's like mowing your lawn. You know what I mean? If you had to do it with a pair of scissors, it would obviously take a lot longer. So
And annual maintenance on the thing?
it's probably standard as we do with the lawnmowers right now. Obviously, facilities would absorb all that. I would not, it's oil changes and spark plugs and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Kawasaki motor.
Yep. And so, as facilities already does that, I don't expect that to be a burden. The only thing that, if we get a snowstorm, like the two we had in a row back in 15 and I think it was 15, 18. Obviously, you're gonna put more hours on something like that.
Yeah.
But that's also the point where you're gonna need it more as well. You're gonna want to keep the sidewalks open.
How often do you think it's be in the playgrounds?
Sorry.
How often for the playgrounds? So probably 3 times a year?
Yeah, a couple times a year. I mean, Sue in the spring right now, I think we hire I think she has a vendor doing it right now. So be able to, my guys go in there and fluff it up and move it around. But I think Sean's guys actually go in. It might even be Sean's guys. I might be speaking out of turn.
Yeah.
But there's a third outside of facility. Someone goes in there right now, spreads the mulch, and then my guys go in and as needed, move it around.
Hold on there. People in the business and people who buy this stuff are gonna be very offended if you call it wood chips or mulch.
I'm sorry.
It's engineered wood fibers.
Wow. Okay.
Because wood chips you can get for free.
That's true.
Engineered wood fibers, that's a premium.
And wood chips, termites love wood chips. So I apologize.
They are wood chips.
Yeah, I know.
They just don't have all the pine needles and leaves and stones from the ground all mixed in. They go through a special processing. I've had it all explained to me by a manufacturer when I met at one of the playgrounds.
There is,
Hey, sorry, don't shame me over it. I'm not in the industry.
I mean, there is, you definitely don't want to take a pine tree, grind it up and put it around your foundation. There is some treatment in them.
Yeah.
Termites are a serious problem. So I apologize for the run for that.
Oh, it's okay here. We know what you mean. Just, they might start getting all huffy about it.
Yeah, I
How
understand.
can you say that?
So this is a tool that we have certain things for. We would absolutely find it more if we had it. It begs to be expanded upon.
Availability of this product,
Um,
readily available.
Yeah, it's
backordered?
it's readily available. I mean, they have, the three that I looked at are all, at least two of them they have in the building. And I can get them. The other one can get it. They're pretty quick.
No tariff considerations.
Nah, no, I mean, that's changing kind of by the day. Right now, no,
Not today, yeah.
not today. Okay. Can I answer any of the questions for you guys on this one? Sure. So just to be clear, the one I'm looking at, it would be the switch. Hold on, actually, one with the tracks. Oh, I put two in. There's a tracked one versus the wheeled one.
Yeah.
I have 3 quotes in there just so you could see they're all about the same, but it would be the one with the tracked. I would actually, we would lose some capability with the wheels. So all the same pricing. I put the 3 quotes in there to show you, but it would be the tracked would be the preference. And we get the most use out of. Just a second. Sure.
All right, so we're looking at, if it lasts the 30 hours per year, By 500 by 30, you get somewhere around 16. So you'd have like 16 years under the warranty potentially. If they have a
Two-
condition
two-
year.
two- yeah,
Oh,
2
years
yeah.
more?
Yeah.
But all right, so let's just say they actually didn't make it to 500. That's just over 2,200 per year value, not including maintenance and fuel and.
They all seem to come with a straight plow plate or a V-bow. Is that something you're gonna need, the plow on it?
Yeah, because that would be, we use that to move the mulch around
Okay,
too.
okay.
Well, I'm sorry, the
Engineer.
straight- right, the straight plow. Sorry.
No,
The engineered fiber.
Do we know what she's paying for that? For the outside vendor? Would the
I-
facilities take it over with this machine?
I don't know. So I'm gonna back that up a little bit. I know Sean's done it. I know that we've done some of it. I don't know if that's the only people that are doing it. So I'm gonna backtrack on that one. If there is a third party, then probably we would take it over at that point in
Yeah, I
time.
mean, it's all, the state has now moved away from using the wood base. Now have to use the rubber matting.
Yeah, the rubberized coating. And they did that down at Gray's Beach and it worked out really well, but we still have that wood,
Daily,
yeah, that wood
and,
stuff that kind of gets into
yeah.
the drains and we get it out. My guys go down there every day and blow it out of the, because the water pushes it into this drainage and it moves around. Kids, you get divots under swings and stuff like that. So they're moving it around pretty regularly. Would this tool, take that away? No, that's rake and
but I'm
shovel.
just thinking if we were spending 1,000, 2,000 a year and with a contractor,
I
it
don't.
would almost pay for itself right there, not including all the other things you've mentioned.
So that's my mistake. I can clarify that with Sue a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
If you can get back to me on that.
yeah, I absolutely can. And I don't know. I know, once again,
One of the things we say is that, we're doing these level services years. So one of the ways we define that in terms of capital is to replace existing capital. Obviously, if something was a safety or a big operating efficiency, and you're not expanding services, you're doing what people expect, but you're buying a new equipment that we didn't have in the fleet before. It's something, it becomes a justification. The reason we're asking for a machine we never had, because it's not just what we get from it in terms of all these, take care of these amenities.
right.
It might be a savings in that we're not going to a contractor for it anymore.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. And I can find that out for you. I'll have that, there's a couple of questions I'll have answered before end of the week or first thing next week.
No rush.
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions about the snow removal equipment?
Yeah,
What?
it's called a tool.
Tool carrier.
Yeah. Which is funny because I was the tool carrier.
Yeah, we got a lot of
job.
Got a lot of
Job I
tool
did, I
carriers
was
around
carrying
here.
a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Worst job is the guy who had to carry the root machine up the ladder up and down all day.
Yeah, well, the funny story, I was in my 40s and I said, shouldn't a younger guy be doing this on the job site? And they looked at me and they were like, you are the younger guy. So I was like, okay. Anyway, next one up is automatic sliding door handicap access buttons for this building. So this was on last year. We've done an EDA study, which hopefully will open us up for some grant funding. But the idea behind this, so it's there this year because it was there last year. The idea behind this is to replace the inner door at the front door of the townhouse with a slider similar to what we have downstairs, and to put handicap access buttons on all the bathroom doors so you can, handicap can get into them. Right now, there's a handicap button on the front and on the inside, but if we use those buttons, you cannot lock the doors.
So we have this on the back entrance.
Correct. It won't change the look and
So you
feel.
want to put it on the,
I want to put it on the, so right now there's a vestibule, there's an outside door that faces the
Yeah.
street, talking about the inside door. There's a handicap button on the outside door, but we can't lock the doors if we use that button. This will allow us to, during events, be able to use, we'll still have handicap access. But if worst case scenarios, we want to leave those front doors totally handicapped, we'll have the ability to lock the inside doors. Which we don't really, it sounds funny, but we don't really have that option now. They have to both be locked. With the Veterans Monument outside, and we're doing a lot more on that front lawn with people who are a little bit older. Getting them in and out of the building is going to be more of a priority as time goes by.
so I've only seen those doors open maybe on Memorial Day. The Ag Fair, you have people up there, but I don't see them going in and out of the building. What else are we using the front entry for?
I mean, it's a security component to it too. Anyone who goes out that front door doesn't lock it back up again. You can restrict access to one way, so we don't have to. People that do use it because it's not used a terrible amount of time. Try not to. There's a safety, a security component to it as well. We can set one-way access. You go out, you can't get back in, but the door's not open. If you unlock those doors, the only way to get those doors open is you put the key in, you spin it around and it unlocks. But if you don't come back and someone doesn't know you left and put the key in it and spin it back around to lock it, that door is wide open. So we check them all the time, facilities anyway, and I know other people do as well. But it would remove that component. They're also not the most airtight things in the world that are there right now. If you look at the gapping between those doors, the wind whistles through them on a good day. So that would eliminate all that. You'd have something that you could secure easier. They're more handicap accessible because the buttons would actually work now. It would be a sensor, so when you walk up to the door opens instead of hitting the button.
I mean, I'd have to go look at it, but
Yeah,
so we'd have one handicap accessible door.
two, be able to use the button that's out front right now.
Okay, so it would make the other one handicap accessible as well?
No, so what happens right now is if we use those buttons, the door won't, you have to leave the doors unlocked.
So, yeah,
Right, but if you put this door on the inside and you leave the front door unlocked, the worst case scenario is they just get into the vestibule. They can't get into
if the handicap person still needs to open that door.
But you could set the access to two-way traffic, one-way traffic.
Have you seen that key knob they have up on the one?
No.
It's kind of like what we use downstairs. So we lock the building at night, like,
Yeah.
we'd be able to do the same thing at this door, whereas now it's kind of, you can leave, but you can't get back in. But if you leave and you don't lock that door behind you, say you do unlock it, like you're coming and going, and you're not telling anyone, this building is wide open.
There's no wiring harness that can be replaced so that the current door would lock after.
Wiring harness works fine, but you can't, if you hit that button and the door's locked, it won't open. So you manually have to unlock that door to make that handicap.
And there's no way changing that lock, changing that lock out.
No, not that I know of. I mean, you could do a fob system or all that, but you'd have to run electronics to the door, and that's pricey too. I mean, and after you're said and done, when you're adding the bathroom doors to it, you'd probably be looking around the same price.
So how does this break down?
So
How does this break down?
yeah, so the total for
Like the grand total of 46, right?
yeah, so these buttons right here, so each button on the handicap door for easy access, this is for the bathroom doors, it'd be $3,000 a piece.
2,000 a button?
I'm sorry, hold on.
I'm gonna stop smacking the crap out of those things then.
Yes, 3,000 a button.
Holy
One,
smokes.
yeah, high-low energy door, so they're 3,000 a button, so you'd have 4 of those. And then you're looking at, hold on, let me just make sure. Reading this right, sorry, 2, so it's 2,000 for 2, so 2 men, 2 female, $3,000 each, so you're looking at 6,000, and then you're looking at the Stanley door quote is Stanley.
I think that's what I was looking for and missing.
Yeah, I'm listening to 2, hold on.
Almost further down, 12.5,
Yeah,
12.4.
12.4. Yep, there it is, 12.5, 12.54. It just printed on front and back. So you're looking at 12 for that front door.
So how are we getting to 46?
This again.
That's right. I'm just gonna highlight.
Yeah, highlight that. Let me look at this again. I think it's 3,000 a button on the doors, which brings us to the 9. But I still don't know I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe maybe I made a mistake. I apologize for in advance. I'll have a better answer for you on this one. This was carried over from last year.
Yep.
And recess control package, $1,000 per door, 12.5. You're looking at actually 13.6 for the Stanley door. I'll have to revisit this.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No worries. And then we haven't applied for a grant or anything.
No, we haven't. We haven't applied. And now that we've done the ADA study, the grants will become available to us in this.
And any idea, are they 100% grants, 50% grant?
Haven't applied for anything yet. I haven't even seen them yet. I'd have to work with Val and some of the other people that are more familiar with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, okay, sorry. I think it's just the way it printed out is kind of strange.
Where do you guys have the 3,000 per button?
So if you look, I think it's printed on the front and
But
back.
something about add, deduct, access
Add
control
$1,000
package for 1,100.
So if you look at the easy access, it's one round low energy door opener, 3,034, and then on the back, the
That's
second
aquatic.
one. So that would be the town hall men's 2. So that's 3,000. So they add 3,000 a button.
That's 6,000 total.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3, 6, 9, 12.
I'm gonna change the squad.
Yeah, it's just 4. So that's why it's just the way it printed out. It's kind of screwed me up. So if you look front and back, each button is $3,000.
So we're saying
So
this
it's 4
this is
buttons.
definitely more than 25,000 for the
So
project.
there's 4 buttons at 3K.
4 buttons at 3K plus the
Plus
12.
13K for the door, you're just over. Yeah.
So once again, I apologize.
Otherwise, you get to the finance committee. Equipment article.
I'll have a better view for that one as well. Sorry.
Thank you.
That carried over.
Tell me how we're gonna bleach these tiles.
All right, so we can't because some of them have been painted. So this is another one that's been kicking around. If you go look at the floor in the townhouse, for all intents and purposes, it doesn't look horrible. It looks like, the grout needs to be worked on, but that's paint. We can't bleach that out. Someone went in there at one point in time, some kind of filler on it. But what happened was originally when this was installed, there's voids under a good chunk of the tile. And at some point, if you want to walk it, we can tap on some of them, especially outside the selectman's office doors and the main meeting room. You can hear it and they'll pop over time. I would say that we replace it. I just put the last 5 tiles down this year. I don't have any more of these tiles and they don't make it anymore. So the option, and this is obviously depends on what people's appetites are. Can we get something close? Maybe in the interim, but it's not going to be a perfect match and it could look.
We have a lot of perfect people in town.
That's fine. Once again, we could do that. But there's an expectation that when you walk into the building, it looks a certain way. I want to make sure that I give
We'll
you.
put a donation bucket in each tile.
And most people are looking where they're going, they're not looking down at the floor.
True, but currently, like I said, they pop up, they become tripping hazards, they crack. So we do have to do something. I got you pricing for a whole floor. Eventually, you will need a whole floor. In the interim, if people don't mind, somewhat of a mismatch on the tile, then we can have chunks of this picked up. But know that we're talking about like around a column, you could have 8 or 10 tiles. We're not talking about like one tile here,
Yeah.
one tile here, looking like a checkerboard, and it could look eclectic. We're talking about like you could have a whole corner of a hallway looking somewhat different.
So I don't have a quote. I don't have a quote.
There is a quote. I have it right here from Explorer. Sorry.
That's all right. All right.
This was
First and second.
correct. So it's upstairs and downstairs.
And then talk to me about, all right, so how old's this building?
2000, 2002, something like that.
Yeah.
2002. Okay. So we're going back down with tiles or another product?
We'd have to, the quote was to replace it with tiles.
All right, the pre-slab, I'm assuming that we're talking about some of the issues underneath that. They're going to
Correct.
take care of that.
They grind it all back.
Yeah.
Now, if the town decides they want to put something else down there, obviously we could look at that as well. I mean, there's other options. Ceramic tile is,
They're gonna take this thing down to the concrete slab.
they gotta grind all that stuff off.
Would the concrete slab be smooth after that?
I don't, I
Do
mean,
they have any?
What was the cost of that stuff we're putting down on the floor?
Polishing, non-slip carpet, runner carpet.
25K?
that's above my
Because
decision
then
making.
years later, you can just come back and tile it when we actually do have the money for
I
it.
mean, we could polish it down. I don't know what it looks like under there, but, I don't know what that happens. Honestly, once again, those are beyond my pay grade. This
No,
would
I know.
be
You're
my
gonna
decision.
pay a bunch of money, have it all taken up just to find out you have to then come back and get that
Right.
tile money.
Right.
However,
It's
last
something
year
like
when this
that.
came up, I walked around looking at the tiles. They didn't look that bad.
They don't, right? So like I said, we replace them as they pop. I don't have any more. The one that's cracked right now is downstairs. But if you go and you tap, like if you're going towards the selectman's office, tap around that column and listen to the difference. And you can also see where we've replaced them because they have popped up. There's a reason why it was on last year and didn't get, and there's probably going to be a reason why it doesn't get done this year. But I need to make you guys aware that once
Right.
again, this is a problem that's not going away.
It's only getting worse.
It's only going to get worse and it's going to get more expensive. So whatever we don't decide to do this year gets more expensive next year.
Another
So-
fact in this quote, the material's 47. Service, 98.
They have to grind. They have to grind it all down.
Double on installation.
Well, they're probably gonna be wearing respirators, and they're gonna have ergonomic back supports, because they're gonna be bending down, and they have to have workman's
You're-
comp and all that stuff.
And you're talking.
And it's prevailing wage, that's right.
Otherwise, it would kill them.
The only other thing that I noted on this, so.
No, sorry, no, it's right. I can print out, or I can.
Tile removal estimate 17.5. We got a transfer station.
And we, I mean,
And we got Boy Scouts.
we could,
But anyways,
we might be able to work with them on the 17.5, but so we talked about this last year when we were replacing
Yeah, I
the
think we
doors
did.
at the COA. And, and come to find out they're like 12 feet tall and 500, 600 pounds a piece. So, I mean,
well, these boys gotta learn something.
They're gonna learn
I'll tell you right now, if we have an extra bin that you can use for C and D, put it on the
Maybe we can use.
put it on the roll-off
maybe
truck
we
and bring
can
it up.
Use the broken tile pieces as arts and crafts over at the senior center.
They might cut their fingers off.
It's a lot of tile. You have a lot of,
The mosaics are beautiful.
I mean, it's a pretty color.
Bird feeders, we can put them out, Matt can put them out in, the back.
All joking aside, if there's a way to save whatever we can save,
We can use some leverage. You want more trucks? Use the ones you got. Hit the bins, come haul it away for us. You know where to take it.
once again, above my pay grade.
All
I'll
right.
let you guys
Ah,
decide
yeah.
that.
Anything else on the tiles?
What, are you the chair?
Anything else on the tiles?
Chris, do you have anything?
Chris,
Quiet this meeting.
Last but not least, my favorite building in town, Adams Building. So this one is kind of a weird animal because it's on the historical registry. So obviously we've done a lot of work to that building inside. There's stuff on the outside that is pending to be done. And then there's just because of the age of that building, it's starting to deteriorate. So the the one column that we have blocked right now is obviously the main issue. But if you go around and you look at the bottoms of all the other columns, and I have some pictures too, if you look at some of the sides, there's cracks. So this is a barrel staved column, hardwood column with a turned base, which means it's put together like a barrel, right? You have slats that are angled, they all fit together. And that is rotted out on the bottom. Now, some of it's because of water and some of it's because of ants. We took care of the ants. I've got the exterminator regularly going over there now. Same with the powder house. We had termites in that. So now they're on the rotation to get that taken care of. But that still doesn't address, I don't know how far up we would need to cut that column in order to make it stable again. So we could replace the bottom piece of that, get the staves remade, marry it in to the top part of that column, and then replace the section underneath. That's the structural piece of the puzzle. But I don't know how far up that goes. I also don't know once you start picking at some of these. So, you can see the one that's braced. You can also see just another one right next to it that looks like it's in the same situation or will be shortly. And then if you look at things like the arching on the front of that building, at one point in time, I'm assuming before it went into the historical register, someone tried to make a repair on the front to probably stop water infiltration and painted it with some kind of mastic or roofing material or rubberized something. Over time, that has sagged, and this is kind of ties back to the coating conversation we had at the beginning. So this was a coating or something that was kind of a stopgap measure, and now removing this is going to be very labor intensive, and it's failing. You can see it kind of craping on certain areas. And if water starts to get behind that, we're going to have problems. You can also see on the portico part, those boards are starting to separate out. Water gets into that. I had the roof out of the facilities budget. I had the roof cambered this year, so the slates are in pretty decent shape. There's some copper flashing that goes across the ridge line that needs to be replaced. Facilities is working on getting that paid for and done. The new section has some leaks in it. Facilities is also working on getting that stuff done. Facilities also takes care of obviously all the regular maintenance, heat, lawn, cleaning, elevator, safety, boilers, whatever is in that building, we're taking care of. These pieces kind of are outside of my budgetary constraints to take care of. And there's really no mechanism because of what it is to address it other than with you guys, FinCom or CPC. I've talked to CPC. We're kind of going back and forth. I put it on hold. There's some appetite on their part to put this into a maintenance plan that the town should look at. I'll work with them on this piece.
Could the historical commission present this to them? Because they don't take a lot of money from CPC, but they qualify.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had kind of, I've been on this in the Powder House since I got here. And this is probably something we should have a conversation outside of this because it's a different board and there's some ins and outs. I've had some mixed success with getting people excited about these projects. I think they were such draining projects when they started that there's not a lot of appetite to dump more money into this. But unfortunately, to protect what the town has already spent, we have to, and however much prevailing wages, when you start talking about historical, you're looking at double that or more, and it's a very limited amount of people. So you're looking at their timelines. The gentleman that we have right now working on the Powder House and who has signed up for the gutters on this that were supposedly they were done probably 5 years ago, still not completed. But I don't, it's a very small group of people and they work on it when they have the opportunity. I mean, the gentleman that's working on this was working on Notre Dame. So Powder House and Adams Building, Notre Dame's obviously going to take precedent, and rightly so. Like you can't blame somebody for that kind of work, but it's a kind of a sticky wicket. It needs to be addressed. I'm putting it in front of you guys as a revenue source, whether you approve it or not. I don't know, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but I would say that you have a building here that's under the purview of the library department.
And
correct?
Yeah.
It's a historical building, so it's in the interest of the historical commission. It's capital, but we've got life-saving equipment that we don't even know how we're going to pay for.
Right.
And the CPC, they give a lot of money to other departments. Historically, have given a lot of money to other departments. This building's going to fall apart at its facade. It seems like there's a lot of people who can go to a CPC meeting and say, fix this now, if it qualifies.
Yeah. And so
Right. Could I interject, Heath?
Yeah.
I was on the
Sorry, I didn't see your hand was up.
no worries. I was on the CPC during a lot of the Adams Library, and it was like Rob said, it was a draining project. It was horrible, but we spent millions on it, and I just find it ridiculous that they just stopped the funding. The columns alone, it's a historical refurbishment. So that is by no means maintenance. That should be taken over by the CPC. That those funds should go directly to that. I mean, if we're not using those CPC funds for the things they're supposed to be used for, primarily, then I'm with Carl Pike. Let's just get rid of the CPA altogether because this is getting silly. There's 5 people on that committee or 8 people on that committee, and they shouldn't, we as members of this, town should demand that they use that money to fix that building. And we
Yeah,
shouldn't
I'm just
have,
gonna, I'm just gonna
we
agree with
shouldn't
you
have
and say
Rob
that,
coming to you guys looking for capital money for something that falls squarely within their purview.
no, I get it. It's, if we're talking about like a painting job, it sounds like maintenance. We've got a column raised up off the hard surface, which is where water infiltrates. So we're gonna have to not only restore it historically, but also make it so that it lasts. You're talking about slates. Is this the parging you're talking about here?
Yeah,
And it's not like a mortar parging or a stucco parging. It's a mastic, you said, like a.
so they put a mastic on top, it's some kind of mastic. I poked it with a.
No, I remember hearing years ago, your predecessor was going, I think, to Wentworth to get the custom gutters because they had to be wood for historical purposes.
Yeah,
So to Ken's point, this is not just it's a capital project in the sense that it's a building that needs a major overhaul, but it's like what he's saying, it sounds like it's a different funding source is the primary. I'm not arguing with you.
No, no,
we need to look at it anyway, but
Yeah.
this is in their wheelhouse, so to speak,
So I'm, in the effort of full transparency. So 2 years ago, I've been trying to get this done for the 300th.
Okay.
So I filled out the CPC paperwork. Now, could I have, in working with them, I looked at old stuff. I asked for, some input, didn't really get a lot of it. Sent them what I had, which probably could have been different. I don't know if it qualified for what they're looking for, but I was trying to get more information from them. So there's some kind of disconnect here that I'm willing to say, maybe, but I've sent a lot of email to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And what I need from the CPC and the Historical Society is I need a little more involvement. I need to meet with them. I met with some of them. I met with, gentleman on the steps. I showed him that one before we had it bricked up, and I said, "What do I need to do? Like historically, what do you want this to?" And finally, when I didn't get much answer, I just had a contractor go in and shore it up. But and I'm willing to, once again, I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any group, but it would be helpful for me
Mhm.
if the people that are involved in this project, we could all get together and figure out a mechanism for moving forward. These historical projects are complex, they're expensive.
And no one wants to
And
take
no one
ownership
wants
of
to
it.
touch
They all
it.
want it to be done, but they don't want.
No
Now,
one-
close to say, Ken, was that everything? I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to say that I agreed with you.
Yeah, that was it. I just feel like they're giving Rob the runaround and making him go through hoops that he really shouldn't have to go through.
Okay. I think that this is, as you say, either above your pay grade or somebody else's position to say. But one of the things that people say is, "What are we doing with the building?" Because they've talked about, well, we're going to lease it out for functions, or maybe we'll get a lease and let somebody use it as an office building or sell it. Be a great attorney's office, by the way it looks inside. But I've heard a lot of people saying, we shouldn't let it go, but something should be done with it. And that will be one of the hurdles somewhere along the ways. But it's not up to you to decide.
True, but as a problem, and I've been working with John pretty closely on some of this stuff too, and we're working, we're gonna start working on some state funding as well to see if we can get someone, there's obviously avenues that we're exploring. There might be options to expand the use of this building by getting some more parking there, or redesigning some of that stuff, like maybe extending off the back. Obviously, there's money involved here, and until we can figure out, I think my thought process is if we can't keep the facade up, then it doesn't really help if we expand the parking lot and get more parking in there. So my first concern is to make sure that this building, whatever we've done and the town has spent money on, we're protecting that investment. And it's a beautiful building. It's beautiful inside. They did a great job. It would be a shame if in the next 5 years we're refixing stuff. No one wants to pay for stuff twice. The gutters that were up on the building Hadn't been, now that was pre my time. I've been here for almost, like 2.5, almost 3 years. I think it was probably 2 years before that. Those gutters have been sitting up there untreated. And then the other corner isn't even done yet.
Mm.
So I had the gutters that were up there painted. So the gentleman that he had bought all the stuff, it's historical. He had it all. Just was waiting for someone to pull the trigger. So I did it. But the gutters on the other side of the building are still rotted out. They're leaking badly.
Are there historical regulations on how you can preserve them? Or do you have to use the old
You have to use
linseed
this-
oil side?
Correct, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
But facilities paid for that. Facilities also paid to have, my guys put some of the copper gutters, the downspouts back up. Like I said, we cut down the trees. I've been doing stuff inside that building. The new side has got some challenges as well. Nothing that can't be done, but I see that new side as a facilities issue because it's new. I don't have to deal with the same kind of regulations. But it would be nice if everybody involved, we could just kind of get a direction as a town on what we want to do with this and then where that money comes from.
Maybe is there a possibility to parse this project out over a series of years? So it's not too big of a bite for the,
It's going to be a series of years already. I mean,
Yeah.
so what happens is I contacted a gentleman. So the person that I put into the CPC request was the lowest bid. I have other bids and I have them in my office, but it was twice as much. So I said, okay, here's what he had on paper had qualifications. I put it in as just a number. CPC kind of rejected that a little bit, but that's okay. I can understand their thought process. But we're looking at, he was available for the spring.
Mhm.
Spring is long gone. They're not waiting around for other projects. There's only a few guys that do this kind of work. So if you don't get them when they have an opening, you could be 3 or 4 years out, right? These projects are not like, putting gutters up on your home when it's done in a weekend. You're talking, they get involved for years on projects and you don't see hide nor hair of them. And so, if we would have signed the paperwork today, I would still have to go back to some of these people and say, hey, are you available? And they might say, yeah, spring of 2031. So we're talking years out to begin with. I mean, the gentleman that's been working on the powder house, that's a 10-year project. It's a 10 by 10 shed. I mean, that's 10 years. So, and I have numbers on what that's costing so far, but anything that we do on this is just overly complicated.
Mhm.
And I don't have a way to fund it to make it happen quickly, which is,
That's why I brought up the CPC, because to me, it's a sort of community building. Yes, it's under the library, but it's also a historical, I guess, artifact for the town. And that historical commission projects are under get CPC funding. And aside from some little things they've done here and there, I can't remember them ever really drawing much of a, at least in the several years I've been watching. I don't remember them getting a big approval for. I don't even think they've asked for anything big. And I like I said, I don't think the building's under their purview. It's a library, but it's still a historical.
yeah, and they have the expertise. I mean, like I said, if we all worked together, we could find solutions to this. I don't have the mechanisms to, they're looking for some historical like I said, it's a barrel stave column, it's turned hardwood. That's what I need to know to get the job done, right? I don't know that the wood came from a tree in a swamp in Louisiana,
Like
but I don't
That lasts forever.
Right. And so when I look at these things, I look at it as what do I need to know to get this done, right? And so I need to know it's a barrel stave column, it's got X amount of staves, the angle on the staves, and the guy's going to put it back together the way it came apart.
When
I
you
think,
say staves, that's like this laminated look that it has on the last page.
yeah, it's not laminated, but if you look at,
you know what I mean? It's like where you're
yeah,
joining
if you look at a
layers.
barrel, when you look at a barrel, you have all those pieces that make it round, right? So they look like bent sticks. These would be straighter. So when I look at projects, I look at what do I need to know to get this done, to get it put back together in the exact way it comes apart. I think they might be looking for something a little bit more detailed, which once again, mea culpa. But I don't know, like the horse that the plaster that gave its hair to make that plaster came from. You know what I mean? And nor do I need to. I just need to know that if we put up horsehair plaster, it's horsehair plaster. So that's my only frustration on some of this.
Here's my last question. I mean, do we have any lead paint there that adds to the cost?
Don't know, but I am.
That's something that could
Looks
change
like
if they come
sure.
out to a sample.
Yeah, so if you look at lead paint at alligators, when it gets old, it gets an alligator skin look into it. And
But oil paint does that too, so you can have.
not like that.
No.
Lead paint does it differently. You'll know it if you see it and it's thick.
If
My-
there was lead paint, it would be gone by now because of the other restoration project.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but I can look. I'm afraid, you start digging before you have all the answers and you run into more problems. So I'm trying to get these problems solved first.
When I walked those steps the other day, I thought I saw a crack in one of them.
The crack in the step.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, the marbles, it's not a safety hazard right now. But I didn't even go there yet. I mean, I'm gonna have I talked to my guys about trying to brighten them up. This stuff we can put on them, but once again, it's historical. So if I have my guys out there spraying, some kind of brightener to get them, that marble up, what am I doing to it? And it's just, like I said, it's complex and it's not necessarily above my pay grade, but I need some more town buy-in. And it's serious buy-in. It's not like once a month or once every half a year where someone calls me. I need, it's a project that needs like a line of communication where if I have a question, I need someone to get back to me. And, that would be my request first off.
Top, since somebody brought up lead paint, do we know if there's any asbestos? Figure ask all the terrible questions now.
I don't, but once again, that would usually be in the inside of the building and that whole thing was redone.
Yeah, the asbestos on the outside would be if they had asbestos shakes.
Yeah, there's no shades.
However, we don't know when this thing was parched and what was mixed in there. Because textured plaster used to have, there was a 50-50 chance if you had like one of those textured ceilings
Yeah.
that the texturing came from asbestos versus some kind of a
So
stand alternative.
the good news with asbestos is you can leave it in place if you're not disturbing it.
Right, seal it first.
Yeah, you seal it first.
Yeah.
So once again, I don't, I need to get someone in here to be able to look at that. I don't have the funds to do that. So we're putting the cart way before the horse. It's kind of like the circular project. It all needs to come together at one time, but you can't do A without B.
So then that raises another question. Will your 45,000
My,
cover whatever they come back with?
my 55,000 will get that column stabilized and turned and the other bases turned and maybe stabilize one or two of the other ones. After that, I don't know, because we're talking today's money versus how long is it going to take to get this done? I mean, when the money for the powder house came in, it seemed like a lot of money, but in today's dollars, is it going to be enough? I mean, I reached out to the gentleman. I don't have a timeline, and that the project is, I think, 4 or 5 years in, and those dollars were allocated 4 or 5 years ago. I need to know if I get to the end of that, I'm not looking at a $20,000 bill. So I've kind of, I'm working with him right now. I have an email out to say, hey, I need invoices and I need to know where we're at from this last. I've been trying to, he's been pretty good. I've gotten some of them, but he did some work here and there over the summer. I don't know what he has at his shop. I don't know what he's turning. I don't have any insight into that, and I need to know that before we even continue with the projects that we have money allocated for already.
They make a column, they're not going to put wood on this granite, are they?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
If they make a new column or a new base, they're not going to put it direct to the granite, right?
Well, that's where it was before. It'd have to be exactly as it was.
Could they use them either as, I mean, the problem is you probably know this, but the one of the sayings is wood plus concrete.
Yeah.
So a deck footer on a concrete
Yeah.
pier, add water to it, you lose the wood, even if it is pressure treated.
Correct. So so the short answer is yes, it has to go back exactly as it came out. There is some, I've been poking around in some of the historical stuff, and it says as long as you can't see it, because obviously, you can use modern fasteners if it's behind stuff. I'm not an expert in that.
I was gonna say, if this guy can turn, he can probably put another piece of like rock there that like granite doesn't absorb water, but it'll let it rest.
Right.
So if he had a thing, and if he turned a exterior base as a shell, historically, what you can then, if it rotted, you could chip that out and you still have a stone holding up or whatever they would use. I don't know.
I don't know, but that's where it starts to get into, is it historically accurate and will it get past the stone and CPC? I'm going to tell you right now, my guess is probably not. I'm not speaking for them, but my goal is to put it back the exact way it came out. It's been there for 100 years. Maybe we'll get another 100 years out of it.
Right, that's not our problem.
Well, I mean, the count's 300 years old. At some point, it's going to be 600 years old. You know what I mean? Everything we're doing today is just stopgap measures to get us to that point in time.
All right. Any other questions about the Adams building? Anything else you'd like to?
No, that's it. You guys have been great. And thank you for hearing all this out. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I had information technologies. Scott, I don't know if you looked into that yet. I can table that. We can use it as a, yeah, let's table and save this, if we have a gap in one of the other meetings. Basically, what happened there was last year, I think I may have mentioned this in an email to you, or a year or two before, IT director retired, and the town decided to just contract a firm. They told Keith Hickey that we needed to replace servers over the course of 5 years. I think the first year was 50 grand we spent, but I think it's 25 grand for the next 4 years. Something like 2 buildings per year, or maybe 2 buildings first year, one thereafter. So I think we know we're just going to continue doing that. It's just that, if we have any questions, I don't know. But we can look into it and bring it up in another meeting. So I'll just table that.
I have to reach out to,
They're coming to the end of their service life, yeah. Will you guys have any questions if that comes up on the warrant article?
is it a sort of a repetitive warrant article?
For like, well, yes, it's like that line was on last year's, although, like I said, the price was higher last year. And I think it's due to be on there this year and for 3 more years. They don't want to do them all at once. So anyway, we don't need to cover that now. You guys want to do the meeting minutes, or they're not due yet, but if you want to get through it? You've got the copy, right, Wayne? Or did you hand it over to
I
him?
had it in him.
We'll get to it.
All right, thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you, gentlemen. Have a good night.
Guys.
Look forward to working. Nice meeting you.
Chris, you have a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Didn't see anything terrible.
I'm sorry, what?
Did not see anything terrible.
Okay. I get a motion to accept with edits, so if I find anything misspelled, whatever, I can fix it.
Motion to accept the capital planning meeting minutes for, was this November 5th? Is that right?
Yep.
2025 with amendments,
Edits.
with edits.
Okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
Did you second it? Oh, Chris did?
Chris seconds.
All right. All those in favor? Heath, aye.
Wayne, I.
Dave, aye.
Chris, aye.
Okay, I brought copies of the bylaw. I mean, we don't need to have a big conversation about this. This is just I figured we'd probably lose one of our presenters, and we did. However, the presenter we had came in with what, 4 or 5 projects here? 6 projects. That filled the time just fine, so I don't think we have to go into a deep discussion now, but I highlighted the facts, or put in bold a couple of words that were misspelled. I think there's some other errors in there. I'll just say this one thing just to think about is that, excuse me, we had, when this bylaw was rewritten, the bylaw says we have to finish everything by the end of February. In no year since, and I don't think any year before, have we hit that date?
Nope.
It doesn't sound like it's going to happen now because we don't know when we're getting our free cash number. So there's stuff like that that probably needs to be edited and amended. So I just thought that over the course of the next few meetings, when we have a little extra time, we can just carry on with that discussion. So I'm finding a few things. I'd like if you guys could take a look at home and see if there's anything that you want to change if we go through it. Law requires that this bylaw requires that we update it or look at it every 5 years. Last year we talked about it. We didn't really do it. This is year 5.
Yeah, I think
We don't have to update it, but I'd like to find anything that doesn't work, because what are we doing things for, or things that nobody cares about? So if it says we do our annual report for the town report, but if it says give a report to this committee or this person or whatever, and nobody's asking for it, then what are we doing it for, right? So that kind of stuff. So I didn't expect to draw this out too far unless anybody had anything
So
they want to talk about.
well, let's look at first page 7-9 process. Town administrator function with officers, boards, et cetera, et cetera. et cetera, shall by October 1 of each year give the committee annually information concerning all anticipated qualifying capital projects requiring town meeting appropriation during the ensuing 5 years. Does that occur?
Nope. I mean, I know Keith was working on it in October, but we didn't get our information until January 1st.
And then the next line, the deadline for these submissions is January 1st.
Which we've held fast on for a bunch of them.
But
I mean,
what's the difference between the October, shall by October, and then the deadline for the submissions is January 1?
I think it was that for for the budgeting purposes to have the town administrator gather everything
For October 1.
and then put together the book and give it to us. The problem is the disconnect is we're not being told what the anticipated. And I don't think they're getting it done by October 1st. And I can't hold Scott to even answer whether this could be possible in this town because he started just over a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be looking at these dates, moving October to December 1, moving January to, February 1, Also, I think at this point, we got to look at, I'm not so much concerned about the years, but the minimum cost of 25,000. Does anyone have any concerns about that or want to visit rates?
One of the things we did that used to be 10. We upped it to
How
20
long ago did we up it?
about 5 years ago, I think. Excuse me, 2021. So it had been 10,000 since like 89. They amended this in 93, but I don't think they changed the number. Some towns still do 10,000. Basically, what you'd be doing is taking the equipment article the finance committee has and shifting about half of that back to capital if you went back to 10,000. The idea is that number was something that the capital planning committee would do because it's bigger stuff. It requires more examination and a lot, there's been a lot of inflation since that time.
Yeah, but do you want to raise it?
Yeah, that's what Dave's saying. 25 is too low.
Well, then what just happens is this, I mean, when I moved this, I was the vice chair, the chair couldn't go to the meeting. I'd say between 10 and 20% of town meeting voted no. Probably because we were moving that number.
Yeah.
My thinking was, if you raise, let's say you make it 50, some of the stuff we looked at today wouldn't be under our purview anymore. Still be taking the money from the same source. But the finance committee would just say, all right, equipment article, we've got this big budget to do, but we have this little equipment article to do.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, one of the things I've been concerned about is if we continue with a lack of or difficulty finding volunteer participation. It probably comes and goes with cycles over time, but eventually what will happen is someone will say, join the capital planning and finance committees. And whenever I'm in that conversation, like, well, you're going to have a subcommittee. You're going to have to design this. You can have a subcommittee, like 3 people who dive into capital. And those people are probably going to have to look at capital and equipment, whether it's $2,000 or whether it's $2 million.
Yeah. I only think, because I did look at this last year and I'm looking at it again now, refresh my memory. I think it's just the dates really need to be.
I think it's the process stuff, and then anything that's just poorly written that we can clarify.
Well, you know what you can do is you can just throw this bad Larry into that GPT and it's gonna clean it up real.
You mean you don't want to go to what's it called, Legal Zoom or whatever?
Real pretty, like it'll make it sound.
All right. Anything else in the bylaw for tonight?
Yeah.
All right. That's good. Take your copy. If you come up with anything else at home,
Take my
if you like your print.
Take my paper.
All right, future meetings. The next meeting is on the 28th. We anticipate having water, planning, and fire departments here. Meeting following is February 11th. We anticipate Parks and Recreation Schools, and it's possible some members of the school committee might attend. Still waiting to hear from the police chief, though it sounds like he may have submitted some final changes to the town administrator. I've got word out to the chairman of the waterfront committee. They oversee the harbor, and they don't think they have the funds to do anything this year, but they're going to double check. I may add streets and parks. I just haven't really worked that out with the superintendent. I'm not sure he's going to wind up asking for anything. February 25th, if we actually have everything we need done and we have our budget, we'll vote it. If not, we'll be using that meeting for something else or postponing until we do have the numbers. All right, member comments, questions, or concerns, any? Hearing what?
What am I looking forward to this year?
Terms of?
Capital.
Are we gonna have a bevy of late requests or requests like next week, or the week after?
So a bunch of them were sent in to George Samia, and I had some of those forwarded to me, so they're not technically late. Some of the ones that are in here were submitted, but they're between changes and whatever things fall into the cracks. I asked if they were late, so I did not, I only received, I think, one or two of the ones that are in that stack. So there might be some other outliers. The police have determined that they're probably gonna need to stay in their current building for more years than they would like.
Yeah.
The sergeant's room doesn't have storage for everything they have in there. They have to get some kind of new workstations and overhead storage and everything else, put the files and such in. So they're working on a request for that.
What about additional trailer, how some of that stuff that could be secured and?
I think it just needs to be right at their desk, kind of a thing. Excuse me, I don't think it's like, they have an archive room for all their records
How about a
That's
nice
in the basement.
historical building that they could put it in?
down the basement.
What's the Adams used for?
Used to be the library. as you
I know that, I remember going there.
And
Luminaries,
it's been
they
used
open it up or
It's been used for,
here and
we
there.
did a budget committee meeting in there once. So we needed a place and wanted to go someplace that was quiet. There was a committee or a trust board that was working on, I don't know if they were leasing it out for events, but they were potentially trying to get to that point.
I don't know if they could, though. Wasn't that a question if legally they could?
I heard they all resigned around the same time due to some frustration. So I don't know.
All right,
Hopefully it's gonna be used primarily or featured primarily somehow in the 300th festivities this
so
year.
our big ticket items this year, looking ahead, ambulance 3, $500,000.
Do you remember I came up before, they were gonna use opioid funds maybe for some cardiac monitors
Yeah,
or something. So whatever it
it
is,
died on arrival.
I'll be covering the capital.
Okay, but anyways, so
Some AEDs.
So ambulance
It
3,
was a $500,000 chiller for the schools.
yeah,
I don't know how we're gonna pay for that. I'd be hesitant to use a lease for, well, I mean, I
and
don't,
then
I
you
don't,
said,
I don't wanna go into too much because we don't have schools on that.
and then you said the Vector truck. We're not gonna have to
It's
deal with.
gonna, yeah, postpone.
Yeah, as far as I know.
So it's really the ambulance, our standard 3 patrol vehicles.
And 3 cruises.
That's what Bill asked for.
Big ticket, I'm just looking at big ticket. I don't know about the sidewalks and stuff. And I don't know, well, you're gonna redo this, right?
Well, I'll see what Scott wants to do.
I don't know,
I'll
I gotta remember,
I'll create a sheet, start entering stuff if I have to.
I gotta remember what we put in last year.
Back.
I mean, if you look at Keith's list of things that he decided we probably shouldn't fund, I don't know where those are gonna fall going forward. Some of those in the years past have just disappeared, which to me
Yeah.
means the requester probably wasn't that serious about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Or he said, this
there's
can go-
38 million worth of total requests.
a lot of that stuff that, it's like the $500,000 every year for road repair stuff.
Yeah.
We won't be doing.
All right. And then technically we had on here. The track list was planned for this year, but we did that in the spring or in the fall town
But it
meeting.
was moved to last spring, and then Keith said, I don't think we can afford it, and we all
Right.
reluctantly said, all right, see if you can squeeze another year out of it, because the reason it's
Right.
this year is this was the end of the service life,
Right.
according to the manufacturer, so we had to do it in the fall.
Yes, we had to do that in the fall. Otherwise, we would have had to do it here.
With found money from the budget that they.
Yeah, so I forget what it capital ended up being last year. Total after that.
Yeah, I don't have the number in front of me. But it wasn't our worst year. But we don't know what we're gonna have to work with this year. That's why I'm very hesitant to say, let's
Well, that's
base it on
why-
the numbers.
That's why it's like, have all parties come in, present their stuff, and then when the witching hour comes, figure out what's the priority.
I mean, is that something you want so you want us to have everyone coming in
They can come in
as they are
whenever.
now, or do you want like some big meeting where they have to fight it out?
They don't have to fight it out. I don't
That's what I
care.
mean that, but like,
I don't care how they do it. You can bring them in over a bunch of meetings. You can bring them all in one meeting.
well, they used to do
Uh,
that. One of the prior town administrators.
But what
They'd all
I'm
get
saying,
in a
like,
row.
if you would have called for a vote tonight on something, I was gonna say, hey, no.
I want to know where everything first.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta see
Well, they used to
everything.
have everyone in one meeting and, if you're a department head and one of the departments that has trucks or small vehicles, like, I want to add a pickup truck to my fleet. And then the fire chief comes in, I need AEDs and cardiac monitors to keep people alive. And you're like, I guess my truck can wait another year. And that's the way it would work.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
so they
no
basically, they
different
let
than half.
the department sift it down ahead before it went to capital planning. Whereas I think the prior town administrator probably did that on his own.
Yeah, but have everyone come in, present their stuff. Have the town administrator give his recommendation.
Yeah, so just remember, when we're going through these, if this was the prior year, a bunch of these might be in the book, but the person coming in to present wouldn't present because Keith would have told them, these two projects we're not paying for unless you ask them to listen to it and they say yes. Excuse me, we can't make the budget work with those projects. So most of those we wouldn't even hear.
Yeah,
Because when you look at the list, you're like, these are wish list items.
yeah.
We have like life-saving equipment, vehicles and stuff necessary to operations to,
What type of vehicle is he driving? Because he said they'd like to upgrade his truck. Has he got the F-350 or the F-150? Facilities manager, name escapes me.
no, they have one or two trucks. It's Rob.
Yeah, there was a white F-350 and there was a blue 151. Is that
Yeah, why wasn't that free this time?
I didn't hear him say he wanted to upgrade his vehicle. I'm assuming.
Oh,
I was
he threw
saying,
that in. That,
I know that they need to replace the vehicle for streets, streets and parks.
oh, maybe.
Oh,
that's
okay.
They have like a Ford Explorer or something.
yeah, that's what we're
Yeah.
saying.
It's all rusted out underneath, and they want to move up to a pickup truck with, they need extra seating to drive the engineers around. But,
Does trees, streets and park pick up the dead limbs that are on the side of the road or they
they
just?
pick up dead ends.
They don't, I see a lot of dead wood right off the
That's free,
road.
that's free wood.
Yeah, bring it to my house, I'll burn it for you. All right,
Right.
can I get a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second,
See, it's, what,
51.
7:50.
Hurry,
All right, you made the motion?
second.
You seconded?
No,
I
He made it.
I made it, he seconded it.
All right, I gotta write all this down, guys. All right, all those in favor, Heath, aye.
Wayne, I.
do it.
So.
Good night.
Hey, Chris.
Thank you. Have a good night.